what'll end up working out for most guys is they abandon their hopes and dreams, their purpose, to go and serve and fulfill hers. That's usually the outcome more often than not. Got a crazy video for you today. She's not yours, it's just your turn. A woman should be a complement to your life, not the focus. Do the work. Women do not care about your struggles. They hang out at the finish line and they pick the winners. All right, what's up, my brothers from another mother? I got a direct message from a guy earlier this week with a link to a video that he wanted me to check out. He was asking about long-distance relationships. And I got a few things to say about long-distance relationships in the stupid video that was attached to it. This video had 6 million views, and it had 5 points on it. Some of them were like, you know, learn how to talk, learn how to make time for each other. If there's miscommunication, talk it out over the phone instead of text message, blah, blah, blah. But it was basically encouraging and supplicating the notion of a long distance relationship. And I'm vehemently opposed to it. And I'm speaking from experience here. I did waste about 1.5 years of my time in my 20s in a long distance relationship. So why is it stupid? Let's start with that question. It is stupid because a relationship, like the glue that holds a relationship together, the bond between a man and a woman, it's the intimacy, it's the sex part. And you don't have that if you're 7,000 miles apart. So from my experience in my 20s, I was in my mid-20s, had a really good job at the time, even around that age. I think I was close to 6 figures or at 6 figures. So I was working towards promotions. I had lots of recognition and work, lots of awards. People respected and valued my time. And I had that flexibility. I was in my 20s. I didn't have any kids and have nothing tying me down. So I was working my ass off to climb that corporate ladder. So I wasn't going to leave that opportunity at that time. Now, back to the long distance relationship component. I was living with a couple friends at that time to keep my cost of living down. So, we shared the rent, we rented a house together, and I was dating this girl at this time who I think was, 2 or 3 years younger than me, something like that. And she moved in because she was having money problems, so stupid me. I made the cardinal mistake of moving a girl into your house. I made a video a long time ago about why you should never live with a woman, especially in your 20s, and what men should be doing in their 20s. So I'll put those 2 videos up, cards up on the top right. Watch them after. Follow me through on this video though. So I made the cardinal mistake of, okay, she moves in. Now, about 6 or 7 months after she moved in, she started lecturing me on, we need to move out of here, this is unhealthy, it's toxic. She had her mom chirping in her ear and her other family members telling her, you need to get him to buy a house and move in and get a place with you or something like that. I can't remember if it was buy a house or whatever. Either way, the liability was going to be on me. She was taking on no ownership. There was no liability on her end. She wasn't bringing anything to the table, didn't have a car, worked a very low paid job compared to me. So it was all going to be on my shoulders to make it happen. And I wasn't about to abandon where I was going. I wasn't red pilled at the time. I didn't know any better. I was, if we're being honest, I was more of like a blue pill alpha then. But I knew that what I was doing was the right thing. Stay on course. Don't let her distract you. Do what it is. And she's like, and then she started playing this game like, well, if we're not going to get a place together, then I'm going to move out to BC and I'm going to be with my family. British Columbia, for those of you who knew, Vancouver. So I'm in Toronto. Her family's out in Vancouver. And it's her sister and her brother. And to be honest with you, she didn't have a lot in common with them. I'm not really sure, well, I am sure why she made that maneuver. It was to try to pull me out of my current environment to enter her frame. And the mistake a lot of guys make in their youth, especially in their 20s, and I've seen people, guys do it in their 30s and 40s as well, is they're all too happy to abandon their hopes, dreams, their purpose, the dent that they're trying to put in the universe to go and placate her and supplicate her needs, wants, and desires. I've seen guys move all the way across the country. I even coached one guy at one time who's in his late 30s who moved his business 3,000 miles away to follow a girl across the country. So I think it's important to note that this is not a great idea. In fact, for the most part, it puts you in a bad position. You're bending the knee, you're entering her frame. You generally end up becoming less so that she can become more. And that's not what we're about. That's not what we're about on this channel. This is the Do the Work channel. This is the Become Better channel. This is the Take Ownership channel. This is not the Victim Mindset channel. This is not the Loser channel. So I think it's important that I have this conversation with you guys and clarify that DM that I got from that guy, because I want to make sure that you're not looking at videos with 6 million views telling you just to go and do it and make time for another. And, make sure you talk if there's miscommunication on text, or if there's sufficient love, it will prevail above all, was, something like the sound bites and the narratives that I was hearing in that video. And it's not true. It's really simply not true, because intimacy is the bond that keeps you two together. Okay? So what happens? She packs up her shit, she goes. She takes her stupid cat, loads it up in the plane, ships it up over there, and we still manage to maintain a long-distance relationship. I'm having conversations with her on the phone. She's eating up my time in the evening. I'm not going out with friends. I'm not dating anybody else. It's like practically every night or every other night I'm on the phone with her doing, I can't even remember what, but it was such a waste of my time. A year and a half of my youth. Guys, you can make unlimited money. You can make, unlimited many things, but you never have unlimited time. We have a finite amount of time in our lives as men, and when the sands in the hourglass run out, that's it. It's not like you get another hourglass and there's a bonus round for another, whatever men live these days, 76, 80 years or something like that. There's no bonus round where you get a new, egg timer with more grains of sand in the glass. That's it. I burned through a year and a half of my time on BS calls. She wasn't in my frame. She was trying to run the show. And, I went over there in the summertime once, and in the wintertime, went to Whistler, did some skiing, did some touring around. I mean, BC is a nice place. Like, don't get me wrong. The weather's shit in the wintertime. It's very wet. It rains a lot. Summertime's great, but if you're a skier, it's a nice place to be. But overall, I knew that if I left where I was at in Toronto, then I'd lose my network. And I know today your network is your net worth. And not that it was a great network at the time. It's always improved as I've moved along, gotten older. I've always, surrounded myself with better people. I mean, the people that I surround myself with today are definitely better than the people I surround myself in my 20s. But I had the foresight at the time to at least make sure that I wasn't going to pick up and move. So I went out and I did the things, but I still kept in contact with her, and I burned through a year and a half of my life. She came back one time. I think one time she actually permanently moved back, but again, because I did not get a place with her, because I did not meet her conditions. She set an ultimatum. Ultimatums are very bad. When somebody sets an ultimatum in a relationship, they're basically coming from a position of weakness. They don't have much bargaining position when they leave you an ultimatum, because it's like, do this or I'm going to do that. And she came back. She's like, well, we need to get another place together. And I'm like, we had this conversation a year ago. I'm not leaving until money is right. And I didn't have myself sorted, and she certainly didn't have herself sorted. I was going to be taking care of all the liability. So I'm like, forget that. So she went back again. So a year and a half of this back and forth stuff. Was there some intimacy in between? Yeah. Did we talk all the time? Yeah. But none of this stuff that these guys pump out on YouTube videos telling you, well, if there's enough love, then it'll just work out at the end of the day. What'll end up working out for most guys is they abandon their hopes and dreams, their purpose, to go and serve and fulfill hers. That's usually the outcome more often than not. Okay? And that's what you have to be really, really careful with. Which brings me to another point. Guys, when you're in your 20s, you don't want to use a good portion of your 20s in a monogamous relationship with one girl. You should be building the foundation for your life in your 20s. You shouldn't even be dating on an exclusive basis in your 20s. You should be dating on a non-exclusive basis if you're going to do that. Because as soon as you lock yourself down to one girl, most guys don't have the right mindset, the right frame, the right conditioning in their mind to successfully put their dent in the universe or come close to identifying what it is and start to have the impact on that. Instead, what they end up doing is often abandoning their hopes and dreams to fulfill hers. So you have to be really, really careful with the decisions you make when you're younger. You're never going to be better looking than what you are in your 20s. So don't think for a minute, if you're a guy right now watching this in your 20s, oh, well, she's the best that I can do, so if I don't, fulfill her hopes, dreams, and desires, I'll never get anybody as good as her. That's a scarcity mindset. You need to have an abundance mindset. And also the other thing you need to realize is, as you get older, guys, you become more valuable on the dating marketplace, on the sexual marketplace. Your value actually increases as you enter into your 30s. It usually peaks in your mid to late 30s. You can check this video in the top right, watch it later on the sexual marketplace and how the SMV scale works. But women's peak is in their early 20s. It's like 22, 23. They don't become more beautiful by the time they get 40, right? But because men's attraction to the opposite sex to women, men are generally viewed as success objects to women, whereas women to men are more beauty objects, right? So it's why women date up, because of hypergamy. You know, they want to be with a more successful guy that's got his shit together. They don't want to be with a lower class guy. It's very rare that they'll date or marry down. You know, they will bang down. You know, they will go and get with the guy that's been to jail with no job, that's studded alpha, sort of thing. That'll happen. But you've got to understand the dynamics of the sexual marketplace as it works. I mean, I really encourage you to watch the playlists on this channel that deal with dating and the dynamics between men and women, so you can really get your head around it, get it sorted straight, so you're all squared away. But for the most part, there's far too many guys that will DM me and ask me questions like this, and the answer really is just no. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. It usually doesn't end out well. There might be rare scenarios where, you know, you may want to consider, for example, if it's on a temporary basis. Let's say it's only 3 months and you're going to get back together. But even then, I wouldn't even do it in your 20s, because you shouldn't be dating on an exclusive basis in your 20s anyway. You should only be non-exclusive in your 20s. Your 30s, you can consider it then once you got your head sorted right and you understand women better. But in your 20s, it's a bad idea. So even if you do it on a short-term basis. You're an older guy. You've basically gone through your vetting, you know, stuff, and it's going to reconnect you guys within a few months. But if it's like, you know, I need to go away for 6-12 months or a 3-year course or something like that, and let's have a long distance relationship, it's sorry, no, see you, bye. I'm going to be doing what I'm doing, and if I'm here and free when you come back, we can have a conversation then. But as far as it goes, you don't wait for a woman. You think she's going to wait for you? Women don't wait for men. Why would you wait for her? I mean, there's far better things you can be doing with your time. Anyway, guys, with that being said, I think I've banged on this long enough, and you should get the point by now. I hope it makes sense. Before I wrap up real quick, in the top pinned comment, there's some useful links that you should take a look at. Amazon storefront has a lot of books that I recommend and products that you should definitely take a look at if you want to level up and become a 1% man. You know, speaking of which, I have a men's community. A lot of guys will often ask me, how do I connect with other like-minded men chasing excellence in their life? Well, the whole point of my men's community, the 1%, is guys working on becoming better versions of themselves to become part of the 1%, making more money, making more muscles, having better game with women, getting better results out of life, putting their dent in the universe. That's what that is. Anyway, pinned it in the top description, card up in the top right. Consider it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Do me a favor. It's a huge honor if you could share this video somewhere. Right now, YouTube shadow banned me, so make sure you're subscribed and got the notification bell smashed so you don't miss new videos. If you got some use out of this video, share it with somebody that needs to see it, that's either currently in a long distance relationship or considering one. There's so many guys out there that need to hear this message that aren't looking for it, or they're not getting the right information. So anyway, on that note, I'll leave it at that. See you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Peace.